Mr. McCormick from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations to both generals for your retirement. Hopefully you're enjoying that somewhat. And congratulations to Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews for his retirement. Hopefully you're enjoying it as well. Thank you for being here today. Listening very intently to your testimonies today, General Milley, when you and I were together last time at the HASS brief, we went back and we talked about some of the things that happened to create the collapse and kind of the predictability about it. I thought it was interesting that General McKenzie talked about knowing that this was going to be a total collapse of the government pretty early on when you could see how the withdrawal was working rapidly against us. The interesting thing you talked about, we sustained the mission. You very clearly stated just a second ago, was to make sure that forces were not being trained and deployed from Afghanistan to harm Americans, and it was successful for 20 years. I would agree. When I was there in 2016, there were very few American casualties. It was a relatively peaceful place. I mean, the Afghans were still paying the price. There was a lot of violence, but they weren't training bad guys. But after spending $2 trillion, 20 years, 2,462 lives, 20,700 plus casualties, plus the years away we all spent away from our families, we then lost it during the withdrawal, and now how many billions of dollars were left behind for them during that withdrawal? How many billions, gentlemen? 7.2 billion left behind for the enemies to use, and how many training bases are over there now training enemy combatants against the United States? How many bases, approximately?
That I don't know, and it would be an intelligence question for the intelligence community.
So the non-classified brief is about 27. So $7.2 billion worth of military gear, some of it brand new, and 27 bases to train enemy combatants now. So I'd say we failed our mission, and we'd already paid the price. That's what irks me, is my friends that are no longer able to come home, my friends who have lost lives and limbs and time away from their family, the money that we spent, the time we invested just to give it back to an enemy that now we're not fulfilling the mission we set out to do. And we did fail miserably, in my opinion, especially on that one day, the withdrawal. To hammer that home, the example that we had, which Sergeant Vargas Andrews so succinctly said during his testimony, is that he testified before about the Kabul airport bombing. In his testimony, he informed the committee that his team was tracking a suspected terrorist who aligned exactly with descriptions given by intel and is believed to be the Abbey Gate bomber. He further testified that after being denied initial permission to engage the suspect, he elevated the issue to his battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Whited. According to Vargas Andrews, when asked if they had permission to kill the suspect, Lieutenant Colonel said, "I don't know." He's now a colonel. I don't understand where we've gone wrong, that we don't have a mission statement that allows a lieutenant colonel in charge of very capable people to make decisions that would save lives and limbs, and then they get promoted for it. I don't understand where our accountability went, not only in our mission, but our withdrawal, and even a mission statement for that very day. Can we speak to that, please? Because if we don't have accountability, then why are we here? Because if we didn't learn our lessons from what we did wrong, why are we here? And if we're not answering to the people who lost lives and limbs, why are we here?
I can speak to the rules of engagement piece. General McKenzie's already spoke to it. The standard rules of engagement that you're familiar with and that Corey Mills is familiar with, and former Colonel Self and everyone, Colonel Waltz, etc. It's positive ID, hostile act, hostile intent, you pull the trigger. You don't have to ask permission of anyone. Every single soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, ship's captain, or fighter pilot has the right to self-defense. And if you perceive, if it is your understanding in that moment in time, whether it's Afghanistan or anywhere else, by the way, except continental United States, if you perceive those conditions to obtain, then you are fully empowered by law to use lethal force if necessary. So having said that, I can't speak, and I don't actually know the specifics.
Well, so you don't know, but here's the funny thing, sir, is that neither did the Lieutenant Colonel. I don't know. And I would say that if I was starting, and I'll finish my piece, sir.
Congressman, I know the rules of engagement.
So do I.
No, I don't know the specific incident.
Well, let me tell you what I'm telling you what the testimony was. And here's the problem is, in our litigious society where I've seen soldiers and sailors and Marines get in trouble for making the wrong decision, when they ask their commanding officer, they expect a clear answer or not, I don't know, that cost people lives and limb. And I'll yield with that. Thank
But
you.
my guess is that Congressman Waltz, when he was there, my guess is that perhaps then Sergeant Mills or others that are on this committee engaged the enemy with lethal force and were not asking permission. I don't know the specifics of that particular case, but I know the rules of engagement are clear and they're trained. And I would have to personally interact with Sergeant Vargas, which I have not done yet and I want to, or Colonel Whitehead, I think his name is, or the company commanders, et cetera, to find out what did break down. Obviously, something broke down. If Sergeant Vargas had a positive ID on a known enemy target, and that enemy target was hostile act or hostile intent, the rules of engagement allowed it.
Gentleman's tie has expired. Mr.